Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, well, wherever you are in the globe when you're joining the SANS Community CTF event for this week. Now, this is going to be a really fun event. I can see we've got a huge number of people signed up already, and we've elected to bring back the services challenges, the set of live targets, quite penetration testing, crypto and problem solving focused, that we ran a few weeks before. And that's because a lot of people got 30-40% of the way through, but didn't get an opportunity to complete all of the challenges. So we brought them back to give you some more time, but also now added hints to each and every one of the challenges. Some of them being very explicit. So if you're a newcomer, you can really get a detailed walkthrough of what you need to do, up to some of the more extreme challenges where it'll give you a view of the type of challenge, the type of tool, but still really tough to actually complete. Now, these particular challenges are tougher than more trivia-based CTFs because you do get a set of live targets and you are going to have to execute some of the more challenging attacks out there. But it's good fun. You don't need to be on a VPN. There's no complex setup. You can use whatever tools you like, whether it's your host operating system in Python or whether you want to fire up a copy of Slingshot and use some of the tools used in SANS courses. Whatever your favorite tooling may be, it's all fair game. Now, I'm presently in a test event that I'm running with the same content you're going to have access to just before the actual event begins. And you can see all of the challenges you've got access to here. There are a few extra ones for those of you that did 100% club before, although I know those were few and far between. And what I'm going to do is just pick up a couple of the easier ones to show you a couple of how to get started tips and tricks. Now notice all the challenges here are graded with a point score, and you can group them by difficulty or just, a flat list in order. I'm going to put them in difficulty order because obviously if you're a newcomer, starting with the easier ones makes sense. And I think E09, E10, E11 are some of the more friendly ones to get started with. Ironically, a lot of more advanced practitioners struggle with these because they seriously overthink them. Something I've been guilty of in many a penetration test where I think something's going to be really challenging, some difficult crypto issue, and it's base64. I'm sure we've all been there. So let's have a look at E09 and some of the basic tooling just to get people started. We're told here that there's a network service at this network address on port 8149. Really important you pick the right ports. You can end up connecting to the wrong challenge, ending up submitting the wrong flag, which is hyper irritating. And we're given a little hint here about how some developers are not careful with input filtering. There is below an even more detailed hint. Now, you're not going to lose any points. This is running in friendly mode. You can use these for learning and progression because we've already run this content as a competition once. So, do take advantage of them if you're struggling. When you start to get frustrated and you're lost, use the hints. You can click and it will reveal the contents that's much more insightful. Well, let's just have a look at how to connect and how to prime up a basic attack here. And it will show you some techniques that are useful in a lot of these types of challenges, as well as when generally probing applications or doing software testing. So over on my terminal here, I'm going to use Netcat. You could use SoCat, Telnet if you really want to, or go straight to Python and script your connections. It's up to you, whatever you fancy. I'm going to Netcat to this target address on port 8149. And the first thing we should always do with any of these challenges is connect and see what it says. It says, what's my username? Flibble, good username. And it tells me my user ID is 000, no permissions granted, goodbye. Well, we could go through a dictionary attack here. We could go get John the Ripper, SQL map, RockU, run it through a mangling process and run it in a loop, trying one after the other. But something tells me, given I provided a random username, that's not the right approach here. We could try fuzzing. So we could literally pipe random data into this to see what happens. Something like, using a tool like DD. Choose a block size. Count equals 1. There we go. A bunch of random data. And we could just pipe this into Netcat to our random target. So that's just sending a chunk of random data. Now that might happen to work on some of these challenges that are very basic, but let's be a little bit more elegant about this and introduce you to another little tool here. So remember, we were connected with this username. We're going to try and send a set of data to this without having to do it interactively, because that's of course a precursor to scripting our attacks, like looping it and adding data or trying different things. And we're just going to use the Python-C trick. Mega handy for just quickly priming quick and dirty little exploits or data on the fly. So we're going to do Python-C print a times 20. Hit enter and it prints 20 A's. Beautifully now, we can just pipe this into Netcat to our target, and we can see that we get automatically, without having to type a username, our access denied. Well, now we can just keep playing with this. We could make it times 50. We could go up to 100. And sure enough, this is a very simple little buffer overflow exercise. In this service, the developer has likely got some user token for permission level, the user ID that's set to 00. And it's probably right next to the user input where we're providing a username. They've used a function that's insecure, doesn't do bounds checking, or they've used a secure function badly, as is often the case. So there's no compiler warning, but they've provided an invalid length check. Here we've provided over 100 bytes, and it's obviously overflowed past that and written into this token area next to it. And now when the program checks that user ID, we get a value of 0xFF. It's obviously overwritten the whole byte, and the user is authenticated. And we get our flag, I overwrite naughty buffers. Love that flag. Last little usability tidbit for you here. The flag is the whole string, not just the I overwrite naughty buffers. And that's important. Every one of the challenges here is going to use that same syntax. So you can come across, paste it in, and score a flag and get the points. Just like that. Case insensitive, but you should be copying and pasting these out. And in each of the challenges, you will know the flag when you see it. It's going to say flag. It's going to look like a flag. There's not going to be any ambiguity. You don't need to go grabbing random strings and hoping for the best. It's going to make it nice and clear. Lots of variations of ways you can do this. This is not the only technique that you can use, but the combination of Python, a little bit of scripting, changing data sizes with Netcat can be incredibly powerful. A really budget approach to quickly writing something like a fuzzer. Wow, there we go. Let me just point out a couple of other little tidbits here, and then you can get started. We've got E10 and E11. Here we have a challenge, E10. So it helps if I can copy and paste. E10, port 8148. And we're told, last session authenticated with this hash. Please verify your session. Give us the password. And we're rejected. A lot of people overthink things. Maybe try Googling for this value to see if it's something that you can easily find the original value of. You don't necessarily need to be firing up your Titan rig of 8 GPUs and cracking this, although if you have one, you probably want to, just on principle, which makes total sense to me. So don't be scared to Google, to search around, to look for little strings and get creative. Some of these challenges are on the easier side of intermediate. Some are really tough and get into fuzzing and scripting solutions. You can't just run an automated tool, which provides a little more realism in a short space of time compared to real exploitation of real service challenges. If you get a few of these, you should feel absolutely thrilled. It'll be a frustrating but hugely rewarding experience. Take your time, work through them, have a go at the targets. We will be monitoring them to make sure they continue to be available, to make sure that they're resilient. Try any tool you want to, have fun, and see if you can join that 100% club. Thanks for listening to me. I hope you have a fantastic time in this community CTF, and then we'll see you in the follow-on event next week with even more fun content for you to try. Good luck.